Thank you, Remco, for joining me today on our Founder Fuel series. Very excited to jump into a bit about you and what you do, and then have a bit of a discussion around R&D because now at Tractor we're doing R&D funding. So we'll kick off with just tell us about you and how Standard Ledger came to be.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Jodie. Nice to chat as always. So, Standard Ledger, we've been playing with startups for about 10 years now, all things finance from the core bookkeeping, accounting, but for today in particular, right up through to fractional CFO and helping companies as they raise capital and for growth, including going overseas and R&D.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's a long time playing with startups. Some of them aren't so startup anymore.
No, that's actually very relevant for today as well. So, yeah,
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, as a CFO, because we work with a lot of founders, but also their CFOs, and often, depending on the size of the company, they're talking to fractional CFOs, or they're working
Mhm.
with fractional CFOs before they're big enough to justify a
Yep.
time CFO. So yeah, I'd love to hear, I guess, how you think about funding for these
Mm.
startups and scale-ups generally, knowing obviously that we provide non-dilutive, but yeah, just loved your view on how you think about funding for startups.
Yeah, so we operate from pre-seed to kind of Series A plus, right, with our clients on that lifetime journey. As the startups and scale-ups are trying to grow, yes, they're typically looking for funding to support that. It's been very much let's head for equity funding, VCs, angels early on. If you break that down of why they need that funding, particularly early on, they're building products, they're investing into the building of that product. And if you follow that all the way through, it tends to be R&Dable, all right, in the end.
Mm,
So
mm,
early on, they might be raising a mil and they're probably spending half a mil on R&D and product development. They've got some tech in the house and
mm,
it turns into R&D, but 12 months down the track,
mm,
right?
mm.
So we've, since R&D lending's come into the market in the last sort of 5 years or so, and great to have you guys in the mix. Always been very bullish because the way we look at it as a CFO, and these are the conversations I have, like done right, it ends up with more equity in the founder's pocket. So we kind of like to talk about it as spend and lend in a way.
Yeah.
So because R&D is effectively government guaranteed, right? That's where lenders like yourself would come into the mix and go, we trust that we'll get a refund, right, enough to get the loan paid back at the end. Same doesn't exist for marketing spend. Right? That's where equity comes in or some of the other lending products that you guys have.
Yeah.
So we've been very bullish on R&D done right. And so it's no longer sort of capital raising, it's fundraising. And so we
Mhm.
try and match the right sorts of funding with the right sorts of lending. And so we now kind of plan our way forward through the year of going, great, we're going to need $1 million and we're going to lend 500,000 and then we're probably going to raise the other in some equity along the way
Mm.
because again, done right, it ends up with more equity in the founder's pocket. What I really like is still raise the same amount in equity, still raise $1 million of equity, say, but then you've got money to actually market and build and hire that sales, the growth marketing people.
Yeah. Like, do you find in your CFO sort of work that and you play a part in helping this fundraising as well. So do you because in my time the equity investment is not typically for marketing and growth. Like the equity investors want to invest in product development and sort of the longer term IP that's going into the business that's going to give
Yep.
100x return. So usually if you've got in your pitch deck, I'm going to put this money towards sales and marketing, it's typically not seen as the right use. Do you find that?
Again, depends on the stage.
Yeah.
So earlier stage, 100% product, you've got to build that out. Later stage, it becomes a mix. You've got to keep evolving your product. But
Yeah.
yeah, the whole conversation goes to repeatable sales processes.
Mm.
So it is very much growth marketing at those later stages.
Mm.
Just, the thought occurred to me too that the other reason I'm quite bullish of lending in the mix, again, debt never used to be in startups. 100% part of the mix when you look at ASX listed companies, and it's
Yeah.
come kind of down the food chain, if you like,
Yeah.
is actually the certainty. So it's a bit like R&D itself. As long as you tick the boxes, the money's yours, the R&D money.
Yeah.
Lending is the same. You've got to meet the criteria and yes, you've got to have enough sales and all those other fun things that you guys look at.
Mm.
But raising equity, right, is a 6-month-ish process of courting a whole bunch of investors, telling the story, and all read about the stories of, hey, I had to pitch 100 times in order to get my money.
Yeah.
So not only do we find it is a good option, right,
Mm.
for keeping more equity in your own pocket,
Yeah.
it's actually faster and it's more certain. Even if it's a no, right, that's a good thing to have, right? As a CFO, a fast no.
Yes.
Again, you often hear that amongst us, oh, you're too early, come back next year.
Mm.
And it's not a definitive no from a lot of investors, right?
Yes.
So for me, as part of this CFOing, I'm also clear of it's a yes or a no.
Mm.
And if it's a no, great. I've got a fast no. I can
Yes.
think of
Move on.
alternatives. So yeah, there's a lot to be said for lending in the mix. And then as you get further down the track, we're already now planning our next 12 months, and
Mm. Yes.
there's debt regularly in the mix.
Yeah.
Yes, it comes with interest, as any good CFO would say. Don't lend until kind of you have to kind of towards the end, so you pay less interest, no problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we factor it in. Key takeaway: have debt in the mix alongside equity, appropriate to what you're trying to get done with the money.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They're really good points. Totally agree with all of those.
Of course,
And
of
there's a
course.
lot of hidden cost and I think we've grown up in this ecosystem of startups and scale ups to think that the way we get external capital is to sell shares. But now luckily that's changing and factoring in the opportunity cost of having to do those 100 meetings and pitching and all the time it takes away from the revenue generating activities actually costs even just that alone is like outweighs any interest expense without thinking about even dilution.
Yeah, 100%. You burn lots of time, and we often get flicked from the CEOs. Hey, go and sort out that lending stuff, and because it is as straightforward as that, like from a
Yes.
CFO perspective. Here's all the cash flow forecasts.
Yeah.
Hook you guys up to zero. Run your slider all over it, yes or no.
Yeah.
So it actually does not distract the founders typically at all. The CFO just go and do your thing.
Yeah.
Whereas
Right.
100% if you're on the equity kind of roundabout, it's a whole road show. You've got to go
Yeah.
and sell the proposition. Again, you're going to have to do it in the mix,
Yeah.
but yeah, maybe you don't have to do it in quite the same way.
As much. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like we obviously have an assumed knowledge of R&D, and I was very happy to be invited to a webinar that you hosted recently, and we were talking about R&D more generally and why I would do it. And there are many founders I talk to that don't actually are not aware of the R&D refund as a source of funding. And so
Right.
do you find that too when you've got new clients that you're telling them that, oh, you could get some R&D money back from the government?
Yeah, I mean, it is actually the biggest source of startup funding still in Australia. Still education. You're right. There's still a lot of fear out there. Fear of governments auditing you, ATO, et cetera, et
Okay.
cetera. So we do about 100 R&D claims a year. Most of them software. We've got a 0% fail rate in in
Wow.
in the 8 years we've been doing it.
Wow.
Couple of queries along the way. We will 100% wave people away if we don't think that
It worked.
people are eligible.
Yeah.
We do that to de-risk ourselves, but particularly the company. But in terms of, again, it's a defined process. People are concerned about the audit risk, but again, meet the criteria, pseudo-scientific. We are developing new knowledge. We are
Yes.
building software using resources in Australia, hence you get the Australian tax break. So yeah, it's the biggest funding,
Yeah.
but no, we still spend a lot of time explaining to people, no, this is valid, right? As a tax break. Thank you, government.
Yeah. Is it $12 billion in claims?
Actually,
Something
I
like
don't
that?
know. I don't know that
I
number
did.
off
I
the top
think
of my
I
head.
read that. It was a few years ago, but yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, and it makes it fun to do your tax return for a change because that's how you get your cash.
Yeah,
Uh,
motivation to get that tax
yeah,
return
yeah.
done.
So in the first
Right.
quarter every year, we already from May onwards, we are 100%. We're vertically integrated from doing the bookkeeping through to doing the tax returns and the R&D.
Yeah.
We are already planning to get those through as quick as
Yes.
possible.
Yes.
John, our R&D gun, submitted his first two before breakfast on the 1st of July. Right.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, so do it fast and
Yeah.
then throughout the rest of the year, count on what you can. So
Yeah, there's a lot of, I guess, players in this space where, like us, and it was a new product for us because that's what a lot of them are doing, the R&D. So we've added that to our mix, which is exciting and great to see a lot of founders using that as part of their mix. It does create good discipline and governance in everything you do as well, and so it
Yep.
makes it easy as a lender too, to because all the books are nice and clean and ready to go, and put that money to put that cash to work before the refund, and you're off and away with all the growth that you had planned. So
Yeah, probably another aspect that we like directors' guarantees or lack thereof. If anyone's actually gone and talked to a regular bank, even just to get a credit card, like we had
yeah,
to go try and get a credit card, and they wanted all the VC directors to sign. It's like
yeah.
that's never going to happen.
I was talking
Um,
to a founder the other day. She's like, they tried to get a bank loan, but banks wanted to even know what her and her co-founders had for breakfast last Tuesday. It's a good analogy. It's painful.
it is painful, and from a credit assessment perspective, you've got to do obviously the right thing as a lender. So typical banks don't lend to startups until they're at a certain
I
stage.
don't know how to assess. Yeah,
No, they don't know how to assess cash flows, and
yeah,
certainly not negative cash that happens in the early days
that's
of many
right. Yeah,
startups. But yeah, typically then comes with directors' guarantees, which as a business owner you often have to cop. But yeah, asking your VCs to lend to sign anything, that'll never happen.
yeah,
So yeah, the other aspect of R&D lending is it's typically just secured against the R&D money itself.
yeah,
So there's no risk. So you can go to your board and go, yes, we want to do a loan, but no, there's no director's guarantee, so no
yes.
personal exposure.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, and with us, there's also other types of products too that we can help with along the way. So that gets you through to a period of time where the refund comes in, but you might also want some other working capital or growth capital, and we can do that too, which is and as you've seen with yourself and other of your clients, it's good to have sometimes multiple products.
Yeah, and again, trying to just coming back to matching the source of funding with what you're trying to do.
Yes,
So
exactly right. Yeah, yeah.
great.
One of the topics that people love is leadership and thought leadership and management tips and stuff like that. Is there any leadership style or tip or trick or go-to that you yourself rely on as a leader or that you've seen work really well with the leaders that you work with?
So just what's my sort of personal style?
Yeah.
It might be the parent in me, but I love bringing more out of people than they in fact know is within themselves. So at a leadership level, whether it's yes, I'll credit myself for some of that style, but also the leaders that I see doing well, they invest their time. I will spend any amount of time with any of my team,
Yeah.
teaching them, training them until they say stop, including my kids, including my kids, right? Because frankly, the only way we can grow any of our businesses, right, is
Yeah.
if we have good people around us. Sure, you might at a certain level recruit some in. For me, it's always been a great approach to bring people in, grow them up,
Yeah.
see them shine.
Yeah.
For me, it's look after your customers and look after your people, and the money stuff kind of looks after itself.
Comes.
And by the way, who looks after your customers? It's your people, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So
That's great.
for us in our next stage of growth, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Get some good people, grow them, and backfill ourselves. And
Yeah.
then we can start to think about what's next
Yeah.
for us on our journey, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Thank you. That's a great answer.